I sang to it and even spoke to it, hoping that my voice would encourage it to grow. But it remained dormant, and I didn't know what else to do." The prince nodded thoughtfully, his eyes never leaving hers. "I see," he said. "And what made you decide to come here today with an empty pot, knowing that others would bring theirs filled with flowers and greenery?" Once upon a time, in the kingdom of Igala, surrounded by landscapes and hills, the people of Igala loved their royal family, and when Prince Kelechi reached the age to choose a bride after the tragic death of his father, the late king, the entire kingdom was filled with excitement and anticipation. The prince was young, handsome, and wise beyond his years. With a heart as pure as the morning sun, he approached his duty of selecting a queen with the utmost seriousness, understanding that this choice would shape the future of Igala. In the village community square, maidens from across the kingdom gathered, each dressed in their finest attire. The square was a sea of vibrant colors and dazzling smiles, as each young woman hoped to catch the prince's eye. But the prince felt overwhelmed by the beauty and charm that surrounded him. How could he choose among so many talented and lovely women? How could he find the one with a heart as pure as his own? Prince Kelechi decided to create a test to help him make his choice. He summoned the royal gardener, a man who understood the secrets of the earth, and asked him to create special seeds that would never grow, no matter how much care and attention they received. The gardener agreed and crafted the seeds with the utmost precision, ensuring they were truly lifeless. The prince gathered the maidens and explained the test. He handed each one a seed and asked them to tend to it for 6 months. The maiden who could coax life from any of these seeds would prove herself worthy of being the future queen of Igala. The maidens accepted their seeds with hope and determination, eager to prove themselves to the prince. Among the maidens was Oma, a young maiden of humble origins. She had been raised by an old woman who lived on the outskirts of the village. This woman had found Oma as a baby floating in a basket on the village river and raised her with love and care. Oma grew up with a simple life, cherishing the beauty of nature and the joy of small moments. Though she had never imagined becoming a queen, she accepted the seed, determined to do her best. As the months passed, the other maidens poured their energy into tending their seeds. They watered them, spoke to them, and kept them in the best conditions possible. But for Oma, the seed remained dormant. She tried everything she could think of, but nothing worked. No green shoot emerged from the soil, and her hopes slowly faded. On the night before the final gathering, Oma confided in her mother. "I've tried so hard, Mother," she said, her voice filled with sadness. "But the seed refuses to grow. I suppose I'm not meant to be a queen." Her mother, a wise and gentle woman, placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Don't worry about what others think, my child," she said. "Your worth is not determined by a seed. It's the goodness in your heart that matters most." The next day, the maidens gathered in the village square, each holding a pot filled with vibrant flowers and lush greenery. They proudly displayed their success, each hoping to be chosen by the prince. But Oma stood apart, her pot empty and her heart heavy. The other maidens whispered and laughed at her as she walked through the crowd. She couldn't even grow a simple seed, they mocked. How could she ever be queen? But Oma paid them no heed, her gaze fixed on the prince as he stepped forward, a smile playing upon his lips. With a graceful sweep of his hand, he surveyed the array of pots before him, each one a testament to the maiden's skill and dedication. Yet, it was Oma's empty pot that caught his eye, her humble demeanor standing in stark contrast to the grandeur of the others. With a curious tilt of his head, he approached her, his gaze warm and inviting. "What is this, my dear maiden?" he inquired, his voice gentle yet filled with curiosity. Oma's heart fluttered nervously as she stepped forward, her hands trembling slightly as she presented her pot to the prince. "My prince, I did all that I could," she began, her voice soft yet steady. "But the seed refused to grow. Her words hung in the air, and the square fell into a hushed silence. The other maidens exchanged knowing glances, their previous snickers and murmurs returning in subdued whispers. Surely the prince would not tolerate such a failure. Surely, this would be the moment when Oma was dismissed, her empty pot a symbol of her unsuitability. But Prince Kelechi's expression did not change. He looked into her eyes and saw no sign of deceit, only a quiet resolve. "You say you did all you could," he said, his voice resonating through the square. "Tell me, what did you do to try to make the seed grow?" Oma felt a lump forming in her throat, the weight of the prince's gaze pressing upon her. But she held her ground, her mother's words echoing in her mind. "I planted it in the richest soil I could find," she replied. "I watered it every day and gave it sunlight. I sang to it and even spoke to it, hoping that my voice would encourage it to grow. But it remained dormant, and I didn't know what else to do." The prince nodded thoughtfully, his eyes never leaving hers. "I see," he said. "And what made you decide to come here today with an empty pot, knowing that others would bring theirs filled with flowers and greenery?" Oma swallowed hard, her hands tightening around the rim of the pot. "I didn't want to deceive you, my prince," she said, her voice gaining strength. "I knew the seed didn't grow, and I couldn't bring something that wasn't true. I didn't want to pretend that I had succeeded when I hadn't." Prince Kelechi listened intently as Oma recounted her tale of perseverance and determination. She spoke of the nights she spent under the open sky and the early mornings by the stream, all in an effort to coax life from the stubborn seed. Her voice trembled with emotion as she shared the lengths she had gone to, hoping to make the seed grow. "I thought it needed water directly from the sky," she confessed, her eyes downcast. "So I stayed up all night outside my mother's hut, hoping that the heavens would bless it with rain. But still, it did not grow. I went down to the stream every morning to get it fresh water, but it still didn't grow. I even put some of my mother's best manure on it, but it was too stubborn to grow." She spoke with a mixture of shame and fear, her words hanging in the air, a poignant reminder of her struggles and hardships. As the prince listened, a swell of admiration stirred within him. Here stood a maiden of uncommon honesty and sincerity, unburdened by the trappings of courtly deceit. She hadn't tried to deceive him or fabricate success. Instead, she had faced the truth, however uncomfortable it was, and brought him nothing but her authenticity. With a gentle smile, Prince Kelechi reached out to take Oma's hand, his touch warm and reassuring. The murmurs in the square quieted, the crowd watching in anticipation of the prince's next words. He felt the callus on her palm, a testament to the hard work she had put into nurturing the lifeless seed. It was clear to him that she had given her best effort, even when it seemed futile. "What is your name?" he asked, his voice gentle yet filled with curiosity. The village square fell silent as the prince, with his warm gaze and gentle smile, addressed the crowd. He gestured toward Oma, whose simple dress and empty pot contrasted with the vibrant garments and lush flowers surrounding her. Yet, it was her humility and quiet courage that caught his attention. "I am called Oma, my prince," she said, bowing her head in respect. Her voice was calm, yet there was a trace of nervousness beneath the surface. This was not the demeanor of someone seeking royal favor, but the modesty of someone presenting truth. "Nice name, Oma," Prince Kelechi replied, his voice soft yet filled with conviction. He watched her as she spoke, his heart beating with a new emotion, one that had begun to form the moment he saw her with the empty pot. This was not the expected confidence of a future queen, but the unpretentious honesty of someone with a genuine heart. The prince addressed the crowd with authority. "You have shown me a kindness and honesty that is rare in this world," he said, glancing at the other maidens, who stood with their flourishing plants. "Though your seed may not have grown, it is your heart that has flourished, and for that, you have my deepest respect." The onlookers whispered among themselves, astonished at the prince's words. The other maidens exchanged confused glances, unsure of what to make of the prince's announcement. But Oma stood with her head bowed, her heart racing as she realized that her honesty had not only been recognized, but honored. The prince then revealed to the crowd that the seeds he had given the maidens were designed not to grow a test of character rather than gardening skills. He explained, his eyes never leaving Oma, that his intention was to find someone who would remain true to herself, even when faced with pressure to conform or deceive. I sought a maiden who valued honesty above all else, he said, his voice carrying across the square. And that maiden is Oma. As the prince spoke, his gaze met Oma's, and he saw the kindness and strength in her eyes. There was no pretension, no attempt to win his favor, just a sincere spirit that resonated with him. He felt the stirrings of a connection, an unexpected bond that went beyond the superficial. The kingdom of Igala needs a queen who embodies honesty and loyalty, the prince continued, his voice filled with affection. I believe that Oma is the woman I have been searching for. She has shown us all that the path to greatness is paved with truth and integrity. With that, he reached out and took Oma's hand, a gesture that solidified his choice and indicated his growing feelings for her. The murmurs in the crowd shifted from disbelief to admiration as the people recognized the prince's wisdom in choosing a queen with such noble qualities. Prince Kelechi knew that his heart was leading him toward a new chapter in his life, one filled with the promise of a love built on respect and mutual understanding. As he walked with Oma through the square, he whispered, "Thank you for being true to yourself. You have my love and my loyalty, just as you have shown yours." Before the eyes of everyone who stood witness, the prince proposed marriage to Oma, looking into her eyes for understanding and companionship. Although reluctant at first, she thought of her simple village life with her mother, the peaceful moments by the river, the laughter of children, and the songs of birds. Could she really leave all that behind to become a queen? The prince, sensing her hesitation, waited with a conflicted expression. The silence grew longer, stretching into minutes. He had proposed with an open heart, but now, doubt crept in. Was he asking too much of her? Was he willing to leave his princely status behind if it meant winning her heart? As the moments passed, a frightened and confused expression appeared on his face, fearing she might say no. He knew that a woman as honest as Oma might not be swayed by his title or position, and the thought of losing her caused a knot in his stomach. Steadying himself, the prince lowered his voice to calm his nerves. He looked deep into Oma's eyes and spoke with a sincerity that carried across the square. "I know you had a simple and peaceful life, and I don't want to take that away from you," he said, his words slow and deliberate. "All I want is your heart and companionship. I will treat you like the angel you are. I will never hurt you or give you reasons to doubt my love and respect for you." Oma's eyes widened as tears began to flow. The prince had cleared up her confusion without her saying a word. He understood her fears, her hesitations, and the deep bond she had with her simple life. He respected her enough to offer not just a marriage, but a partnership. It was as if he could see into her soul, acknowledging her worries and promising to never violate the trust she placed in him. The villagers watched as the prince spoke, seeing the earnestness in his expression. They could feel the depth of his words and knew that his proposal was not just a royal formality, but a genuine plea for her companionship. The prince's vulnerability laid bare his sincerity, showing just how much he desired her as his bride. Choked with tears, Oma finally spoke, her voice filled with emotion. "I accept, my prince," she said, her words quiet yet clear. As soon as she spoke, the prince immediately embraced her, holding her close to shield her tears from the curious eyes of the crowd. The embrace was gentle, yet full of warmth and compassion, a promise that he would always be by her side. The village square erupted in cheers and applause, the people overjoyed by the prince's choice. They saw in Oma the qualities that made a great queen: honesty, integrity, and a genuine heart. And they saw in Prince Kelechi the wisdom to recognize those qualities and value them above all else. As the prince held Oma, he whispered words of comfort into her ear, reassuring her that she had made the right choice. He spoke of their future together, of the kingdom they would build based on truth and compassion. He promised that she would always be free to be herself, and that her simple joys would never be taken from her. This wasn't just a marriage proposal, it was a commitment to a partnership built on respect and love. The villagers watched as the couple stood together, their embrace a symbol of a new beginning for the kingdom of Igala. The prince's proposal and Oma's acceptance signaled a change in the way the kingdom would be ruled, one that valued honesty over deceit, and kindness over power. As the celebration continued, the people knew that they were witnessing the start of something beautiful, and they welcomed the new era with open hearts. The marriage between Prince Kelechi and Oma was a joyous event in the kingdom of Igala. The villagers gathered in the grand palace courtyard to celebrate the union, with music, dancing, and feasting. The air was filled with laughter and excitement as the prince and his new bride were showered with blessings from all corners of the kingdom. As the sun set, the night sky illuminated with 1,000 lanterns, each a symbol of the light their marriage would bring to Igala. Prince Kelechi was true to his word, showing Oma nothing but kindness and respect from the moment they were married. He had promised to cherish her, and he kept that promise every day. Unlike other royal couples who often lived separate lives, the prince and Oma spent time together, exploring the gardens, visiting the villages, and sharing stories of their past. It was clear to everyone in the kingdom that this was a marriage built on genuine affection and mutual understanding. The prince's care for Oma extended to her family as well. He invited Oma's mother to move into the palace, knowing how important she was to his new queen. The old woman was given a spacious room overlooking the palace gardens, and she was treated with the utmost respect by the palace staff. Prince Kelechi made sure she had everything she needed, often passing by for a chat and to make sure she felt at home. The bond between Oma and her mother grew stronger as they shared meals, stories, and laughter in the warmth of the palace. One afternoon, as Oma and her mother walked through the garden, they noticed Prince Kelechi talking to the royal gardener, the same man who had created the death seeds for the test. The gardener was explaining how to care for a particular type of flower that had just bloomed. The prince listened intently, asking questions and showing genuine interest in the plants. When he saw Oma and her mother, he waved them over with a smile. "Mother," he said, addressing Oma's mother with affection, "have you seen these flowers? They're called morning stars. They bloom at dawn and have the sweetest scent." He picked a flower and handed it to her, his gesture warm and gentle. The old woman took the flower, her eyes sparkling with delight, as she thanked the prince for his thoughtfulness. Prince Kelechi also took great care in supporting Oma's interests and passions. Knowing she loved the simple joys of life, he arranged for the palace grounds to be filled with music and dance. He often invited village children to come and play in the palace gardens, knowing how much Oma enjoyed their laughter. He even set aside a portion of the garden for Oma to tend herself, a space where she could plant and grow whatever she wished. One evening, as they sat on the palace balcony watching the sunset, Prince Kelechi turned to Oma and said, "I meant what I said on the day we met. I will never give you a reason to doubt my love and respect for you." He took her hand in his eyes reflecting the fading light of the sun. "You are my queen, and I will always treat you like the queen you are." Oma smiled, feeling the warmth of his words and the sincerity in his eyes. She knew that their marriage was not just a union of titles, but a true partnership. Prince Kelechi had proven himself to be a man of his word, and his actions spoke louder than any words could. In the months that followed, the kingdom of Igala flourished under their leadership. Prince Kelechi was crowned the king of Igala in a grand ceremony, with Queen Oma by his side. The kingdom gathered to witness the coronation, and the palace grounds were filled with music, dance, and joyous celebration. King Kelechi and Queen Oma walked through the crowds, greeting their subjects with smiles and words of gratitude. It was a new era for the kingdom, and everyone felt a renewed sense of hope and prosperity. As the weeks passed, Queen Oma began to feel unwell. At first, she thought it was just the stress of the coronation and the new responsibilities of being a queen. However, when the nausea and fatigue persisted, she decided to visit the royal physician. After a thorough examination, the physician confirmed the joyful news: Queen Oma was pregnant. King Kelechi couldn't contain his excitement when Oma shared the news with him. He immediately lifted her off her feet and spun her around, his laughter echoing through the palace halls. The queen's laughter soon joined his, and their happiness was infectious. Everyone in the palace could feel the joy radiating from the royal couple. King Kelechi became increasingly attentive to Queen Oma's needs, ensuring she had everything to keep her comfortable during her pregnancy. He was always by her side, offering words of encouragement and taking care of any tasks that might cause her stress. The couple spent evenings in the palace gardens, enjoying the beauty of the flowers and talking about their future as parents. One night, as they sat on a bench under the stars, Queen Oma rested her head on King Kelechi's shoulder. She had been feeling the baby move for the first time, and she knew how much it would mean to the king. "What will you do if we have a baby girl instead of a boy?" she asked, curious about his reaction. King Kelechi shook his head with a gentle smile. "Children are a gift, and I don't mind whether it's a boy or a girl," he replied, his voice warm and sincere. "All I want is you as the mother. A male or female child is good for me. Either of them can ascend the throne and bring us happiness." Oma felt a wave of relief and joy. King Kelechi was the direct opposite of his father, the late king. He was kind, compassionate, and had no preference for a male heir. His words reassured her that their family would be built on love, not outdated traditions. Months later, Queen Oma gave birth to a healthy baby boy. The palace erupted in celebration, with the entire kingdom rejoicing over the arrival of the royal heir. The king and queen chose the name Prince Obinna, meaning father's heart, reflecting the deep bond between father and son. The couple was overjoyed with the birth of their son, and King Kelechi took an active role in caring for the baby. He would often hold Prince Obinna in his arms, singing lullabies and telling stories about the kingdom. The sight of the king cradling his newborn son became a familiar and heartwarming scene within the palace. The kingdom of Igala continued to flourish under King Kelechi and Queen Oma's leadership. The birth of Prince Obinna brought even more hope and unity to the people, as they saw the royal family's love and dedication to each other. The palace became a place of warmth and kindness, where everyone was welcomed and valued. As Prince Obinna grew, King Kelechi and Queen Oma made sure he was exposed to the diverse cultures within the kingdom. They took him on visits to different villages, introducing him to the people and teaching him the importance of understanding and respecting others. The young prince quickly became a beloved figure, and his infectious laughter was a source of joy for everyone. The royal family continued to lead by example, promoting fairness, honesty, and compassion. The kingdom of Igala thrived, with new opportunities for education, arts, and environmental conservation. King Kelechi and Queen Oma's love and partnership set a new standard for leadership, showing that a kingdom could be ruled with integrity and kindness. The people admired the love and respect between the prince and his queen, and they felt that the kingdom was in good hands. Prince Kelechi and Oma worked together to ensure that the kingdom thrived, making decisions based on compassion. The moral lesson of the story is that true worth lies in honesty, integrity, and inner character, rather than in external appearances or material success. Prince Kelechi's test of the seeds revealed the value of genuine truthfulness, as Oma, the only maiden who didn't try to deceive him, was the one he chose to be his queen. This demonstrated that a good heart and courage to do what's right are more important than pretending to be something you're not. Furthermore, the story illustrates that love and respect are essential for a harmonious relationship. Prince Kelechi and Oma's marriage was successful because it was based on mutual understanding, compassion, and respect for each other's individuality. Prince Kelechi showed that being a leader means honoring those around you and treating them with dignity, while Oma's humility and honesty paved the way for a loving and peaceful union. Ultimately, the story conveys the importance of authenticity, loyalty, and genuine connections. It suggests that true companionship and love arise when people stay true to themselves and embrace others.